Fundamentally, this is the geoevolutionary blueprint of an ecology where chickens evolved over time.
Today's project I'm very excited about. The Main Street project. We are here. I brought my assistant. You ready for this, buddy? Okay. Look like we got our host coming. Hey, good morning.
How are you?
How are you? I'm Justin.
Hi, Rehi.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. Who's this?
This is my son, Jonah.
Jonah?
Are you first generation in America?
I'm an immigrant. I wasn't born here.
Okay, cool.
No, so that would be a first generation, right?
Why did you come here?
Oh, dang. You asked the $100 million question.
Well, give me the $100 million answer.
My wife.
Good answer. Good answer.
My wife.
Okay.
The reason I'm here is because she moved here. We met in Guatemala. We married in Guatemala. And, and then she wanted to come to the University of Minnesota to get a degree in bilingual education, and it was too long, so here we are.
Nice.
You know, I came up and we stayed here.
Before we get started, what is your role here?
I run strategy and system designs and engineering, and I'm the founder of this system. I actually shouldn't say I am, because it was really my great-grandparents, my grandparents, my parents, and the whole community I grew up with. And I just technically was the most interested of all the kids in doing this kind of work. And here we are now, you know, many years later, just reinventing that old technology and wisdom and trying to match it with the craziness of the U.S. consumer and demand, you know, and marketplace. The bottom line is that I have all the training that a lot of the people working for Monsanto and Cargill and Bayer and all of that. In fact, I started out right out of ag school with a very large chemical company. And I survived 2 months because fundamentally that's just counter to the way I was brought up and my philosophy. And you know, like my father said, you know, what's the point of spending your whole life teaching the kids to love the earth and care for it if what they do is go and get a degree and start destroying it with the knowledge they were given. So that's why I do what I do.
An alternative. I cannot wait to see it. You're going to go over the systems with us. I'm so excited to see these chicken systems. That looks absolutely incredible over there. Thank you very much. But you're not alone. Look at this. Look at this. He's not alone anymore. Okay, everybody who's going to be in the film later, tell your name, what your role here is, and what you're going to be talking about today.
Paula Westmoreland. I've worked with them on the design of the farm.
I'm Julie Ristow, and I work with Main Street Project. I came on board about 3 years ago. So my role here is really just to help make the whole system happen. I do a lot of the strategy work around the operations. I helped lead the acquisition of the farm. And right now I'm really focused on the next pieces that need to come together, which are financing, having other farmers access land so that they can build coops on their own, and being able to use the central farm, which you're going to look at as a central hub.
I'm Lindsay Raybon, and I'm from Ecological Design, and I'm working with the Main Street Farm Project on design and farming systems in the startup.
And one more.
I am Rocky Casillas, and I recently joined the Main Street team about 9 months ago. I help manage the egg layer unit at Finca Mirasol, which is Main Street's first farm, and I also help with community outreach. And later today I'll be showing you a little bit of how we manage the paddock.
And Will, I don't know how much you'll be on this side of the camera, because you're also a cameraman. You're always on the other side, the official videographer for this project.
Yep, communications director for the Main Street project. And,
so maybe we'll be swapping some footage, I don't know, so we'll see.
So this is our egg layer unit. We have about 300 chickens.
The foundational design of the unit is this. There is a building, so a shelter for them to spend the night. There's 2 paddocks, so they can rotate back and forth. That rotation is based on how quickly the space regenerates so that the chickens can get forage, scratching space, and all of that. The third and most important piece is the perennial crops, which provides the protection from the predators, also evens out the temperature of the soil. Our chickens are out here on 110, 115 degree days just perfectly fine under the shade of these trees. Not every perennial crop actually does well with chickens. So we have hazelnuts and elderberries as the foundational perennial canopy and perennial crop inside the paddocks. But also we tested cherries, prunes, apples. We still have 3 apple trees back there, which were not doing well at all with the meat birds. In fact, they were about to die. And then we switched to hens, egg layers, and they take off again. This is a prototype unit. Fundamentally, this is the geoevolutionary blueprint of an ecology where chickens evolved over time. They are not pasture animals, as they eat stuff, but if you see them, they also can't survive on pasture because they don't have the ruminants capacity or the larger animals capacity for biomass intake. And that's why they always go for the bugs, for the protein-based feeds and all of that. A huge part of the food system for the chicken is what we call the sprouting system. Rocky will demonstrate that later. A mix, which is the same winter or summer, but in the summer we spread the mix in the ground and we let it sprout in the ground. Our intention is not to produce grasses, is to produce sprouts. And sprouts, we know their highest capacity for the highest nutritional capacity is within the first 4 days after they sprout. After that, they take more energy to process than they provide the chicken, so you don't want to let them grow to past that point. In the winter, we still sprout the seeds, but then we freeze them so we can then feed them in what we call the solarium, which is a greenhouse attached to the main building on the other side where the chickens go out and roam in the winter. Right there you have all the key components of this. Now, we haven't gone beyond 15% on a standard basis, but in the past I raised a flock where I only used 6 pounds out of a traditional 12 to 14 pounds of feed. So technically we could go up to 50% in some cases, but we only did that in a small scale, which is only 500 meat birds, and we want to make sure that we do 1,500 meat birds with the new system before we actually make those claims. But the claim we can make is that we have pushed it that far, and the birds grew to the same size, to the same specs as any other bird we have grown.
I mean, this is what Reggie was talking about, where every day we give them 25 pounds of soaked grains.
Okay.
So this is to supplement their diet, the feed concentrate that we give them in the morning. And they love this stuff. It's been soaked for a few days.
Okay.
Huh?
Oh man, they're loving you right now.
Yeah, they love this stuff.
This is all you feed them, just the soaked grains and the forage area, is that right?
In addition to the feed concentrate that we give them in the morning. So it's 75 pounds of ground feed, 25 pounds of soaked grain, and whatever they can find on their own.
Okay, nice. A solarium. Did you guys notice this solarium? It gets cold in Minnesota. How cold does it get here? In the winter?
Too cold.
Minus 26.
Yeah, we're talking.
That's what I hear.
Minus 30.
Oh, minus 30.
26.
So the chickens are happy in there though. It's a greenhouse.
It gives them a nice space to range so they don't go crazy cooped up all winter, because if there's 2 feet of snow, they're not going to come outside.
That's right. Oh, here we go. We mixing our feed.
Yep, like Reggie was showing you in the other paddock. That paddock is green because the chickens weren't there. They were in this other paddock. And now that we switched them, so they spend about a week in each one. Now that we switched them, we need to distribute the grain again to help it replenish while they stay there all week. And so in about a week or so, this will be a green carpet again. And then we'll move them and do the same thing to the other paddock. So it's just a constant rotation to keep the land healthy and keep them in an area where they have plenty of food all the time. We've got wheat, we've got oats, which is the longer seed, and then we've got forage pea and buckwheat. We ran out of sorghum, but we normally add sorghum too.
Okay. Do you know the percentages?
Wilbur knows the percentage.
Hey Wilbur, you helping out here, buddy.
The good mix of grains for the hens is around 35% of corn, 30% of wheat. The other things is around the 5% of buckwheat, 10% of sunflower seeds, and the rest is oats and pea.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good,
Cool.
a good mix for hens.
And this is 25% of their diet. The other 75% is a commercial mix?
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Yep.
And then they can get all they want off the forage. So you're gonna mix this up, you've mixed it up, you're gonna now put it in a bucket and soak it?
It's supposed to rain today, so the rain will soak it for us.
Oh, right here in place.
Yeah.
Okay, that's smart.
So, you want to help me? I'll spread it today, and then hopefully the grain that we get, or the rain that we get later, will help it sprout faster. For the buckets, we do soak it ourselves. But if we get this wet, it'll be harder to carry and to spread out there. It won't spread like, it won't distribute evenly like we want it to. So we'll let the rain take care of that part for us. I just fill this bucket and walk around and spread it, just like that.
Back into prosperity in rural communities. We're all about providing opportunities for people to learn about the
What is the Main Street Project?
Main Street Project is an organization that was founded to really create pathways for people to experience real wealth in their community. By that we mean keeping the wealth in the community and having more security and food and other ways in which you can really have a sustainable livelihood.
Cool, what are your goals here?
Well, we work primarily with Latino farmers, but our goal here on this farm is to really provide a hub for the region so that other people can learn about the kind of practices in agriculture that we really think are tied to the wealth of rural communities.
You look like somebody with a plan.
But we're in Midwest agriculture right now, which means this has been in corn and soybeans for probably over 15 years. Soil extremely depleted. There's some common features here that, you know, we have buffers, you know, along the edges, which are kind of chemical drift buffers. There's a number of wetlands here that we're going to be recreating to help manage the water and remediate the water.
What are the buffers? What are the actual species?
Yeah, we start out a lot using hybrid poplar and willow because they're very fast growing and they're also pretty tolerant of chemical drift. And then we start supplementing it with other things such as there's, you know, some oak, some hazel, some lilac. We have the coops positioned kind of on knolls here.
7 total?
Yeah, there's 5 here and then there's 2 back there. And we've got an alley cropping system which you can kind of see going through here, which is alley crops of 3 rows of hazels, 3 rows of elderberry, and another 30-foot strip that can rotate between small grains or asparagus or vegetables.
Are these this kind of systems that Rehi is already doing that we've already seen?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Got hugely documented by Will.
You got to see this view, guys. Check this view out. What is out there right now? What is currently the green over there on the left? What's currently there?
Ragweed.
Okay. What's currently right here down the middle in the brown?
Rye as our first cover crop.
Okay.
And then what looks like corn is the sorghum Sudan grass.
And that's over there on the right.
Yep, and sorghum Sudan grass is a huge soil builder, which this is very depleted soil.
What is it going to begin to start looking like?
It will begin to start looking like a savanna. We're based on savanna design, and it's drought-proofed, flood-proofed. And so when excess water comes in, we're able to flow it through without ruining our crops.
Okay.
And we go into a drought, we're able to facilitate water to our crops of fruits and nuts integrated with poultry.
Okay. So if I come here in 10 years, what am I going to look out there and see?
Well, you're going to see some wetlands in a few places where the water's being held and cleaned and remediated. And you're going to see on contour hazelnuts, elderberry, alleys for grazing, alleys for raising annual crops.
Yes.
Sprouts.
So we're building soil and regenerating the land and showing a demonstration of how quickly you can switch over from conventional agriculture to a regenerative soil building agriculture.
Will, you're going to have to send me some video of this in 5 years.
In 5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you guys so much for this wonderful tour. I'm so encouraged by what you're doing. Keep on doing on. That's a wrap. Want more of these guys? MainStreetProject.org. I'll leave the link down in the description.